So in the past couple of days, there's been a lot of noise out there when it comes to the idea of Davante Adams being traded to the New York Jets. And earlier today on ESPN, on Get Up, Dan Orlovsky shared some thoughts on what he believes is going to happen in this situation.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I think Davante Adams plays for the Jets this season. So the reason why I say that is this. Have you watched Netflix, the receiver
Yes.
stuff? Have you seen it? Have you seen the frustration from Davante Adams? It's not that much better of a situation. One, the only reason it wouldn't happen, Greeny, is if he would feel bad about leaving Antonio Pierce, their new head coach. That's the only reason.
Antonio will be fine. He'll be fine.
Okay, but the loyalty of a competitor to a coach. One, the Raiders don't matter until they get a quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. So at some point, you got to try to go get a quarterback. Number two, if you're the Jets, why would you not? Cool, it's going to cost you you haven't won a Super Bowl ever, or in like 50-something years or something like that.
Yeah,
You've already gone all in. You have to make this work. If you don't win the Super Bowl, this is going to be one of the more disappointing acquisitions and runs and wasted talented teams that we've seen in the NFL in many years. I think this is a done deal. At some point, Davante Adams plays for the Jets this season.
How do I make that my ringtone? Like that's my question. I don't know how to make a ringtone, but I want Dan saying that to be my ringtone.
You want a grown man who doesn't sound like he's gone through puberty yet to be on your ringtone?
Yeah. Yes, in this case I do. So let me just finish it with you again. Here. Right, Davante, because who was it that brought it up? What Orlovsky just brought up? Someone yesterday. It wasn't Bart Scott. Oh, it was RG3.
Yeah.
Who brought up the same thing on Receiver on that TV show on Netflix.
I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
Davante Adams apparently does not seem excited, and I think a lot of people would understand why he's not enthusiastic.
I think it's important to present this the right way with Davante Adams because he has not made trouble with the Raiders.
No trouble,
Like he has not asked out. He has expressed displeasure at the way things have gone. He went there to play with Derek Carr, his college friend, and Derek Carr was gone within a year. And obviously they haven't won at the level that Davante Adams would like to win. But he has also said, I'm gonna stick it out. I'm gonna see if I can help. I'm here. I'm gonna make the best of it. Now, does that change in the next 3 months? Possible.
Oh yeah.
But at this point, that is not where his mind is. As frustrated as he is in those clips on receiver.
Okay, I am 1,000% in on this.
Okay, so with where we are right now in the NFL offseason, it's a time where, nothing's happening. And so, of course, there has to be topics brought up to fill the airtime. But I don't think this is necessarily just something that, ESPN is pulling up and Dan Orlovsky is saying just to get, clicks. I think this is something that actually makes lots of sense for both sides, the New York Jets and the Las Vegas Raiders. On the Raiders side, you have a quarterback duo in Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell that I don't think is going to get you to the playoffs. You do have a really good defense there, and that could maybe keep this team afloat. And so from the Raiders' perspective, you have a Davante Adams who after the season is going to be 32 years old. And if you're able to get a first-round pick for a guy who is almost 32 years old on a team that I don't think is going to be very competitive when it comes to playoff contenders this season, I think from the Raiders' perspective, it makes a ton of sense. If you're able to get a first-round pick, let's say you get the Jets' 2025 first-round pick, you then have an ability to have 2 first-round picks. Maybe you trade up and draft your quarterback of the future, where if you keep Davante for the 2024 season, he plays it out, he's going to be 32 after this season. How much longer is he going to play at a top-tier level? I think he, probably has a few more years left of it. But if you're the Raiders, not very competitive right now, in my opinion, and you can get a first-round pick, I think it makes perfect sense. Now for the Jets, it would be one thing if the New York Jets, had a 25, 26-year-old quarterback. Let's say a guy like Jordan Love, where, you feel like you have a long, runway ahead of you to build a competitive roster. It would be one thing there. But considering you have Aaron Rodgers, who's 40 years old, who knows how much longer he's going to be playing, maybe 2 years potentially. When you're the Jets and you, as they're talking about, haven't won a Super Bowl in 50 or so years, I think that this is a move that would really take the Jets over the top, not only because, Davante Adams is a top-tier receiver, has been for a long time, but because of that chemistry between Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. I mean, when they were playing in Green Bay, they were just, so, locked in, and the chemistry they have is incredible. And if you had Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson on the field at the same time, I mean, that's one of the, if not the best, receiver units in the NFL, and that's going to cause lots of problems for opposing defenses. And there is the, money situation. That's really where it's important to look at is it even possible for the Jets when it comes to their salary cap situation to make a move for Davante Adams, who is a pretty, has been making a ton of money for a while and still will be for the next few seasons. Here's some information on that from A to Z Sports, written by Wendell Ferreira. He wrote an interesting piece here on this salary cap numbers. He said, so if the Raiders trade Davante Adams before this season, they will have $7.85 million in dead money in 2024 and $15.7 million in 2025. Highly manageable numbers. So from the Raiders' perspectives, they don't have a massive dead cap hit by trading away Davante Adams. And even if they did for the 2024 season, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal considering, as Dan Orlovsky was saying, I think that they need to get their quarterback situation in line. Then he finishes here. The acquiring team would pay Adams $17.5 million in 2024, $36.25 million in 2025, and $36.25 million in 2026. And I saw two different opinions on what his cap number would be. I'm not sure which one is accurate, but it's in the $17.5 million to $25 million range. I think it's $17.5 million, but it's somewhere around there. The Jets currently only have about $6 million in cap space, so they would have to move some money around and do something to create some additional cap space, which teams, there's lots of different things they can do, restructuring contracts, things like that. And I bet the Jets could, find enough money there to bring in Davante Adams. And Dan Orlovsky sounded pretty confident that Davante will be in New York. And I would have to say that I agree that the odds of this happening are somewhat reasonable. I don't think this is a crazy idea that Davante would be back with Aaron Rodgers and be traded to the New York Jets. The question is, when would this happen, and would the Raiders really be willing to do this? I think that if you're the Jets and the Jets or the Raiders would accept a first-round pick, I would do it. I would do it today if you got a call from the Raiders and they said, you know what, if you give us your first-round pick, we'll send you Davante. If I was the Jets, I'd say no-brainer. I'll take it. I think the Jets should just go all in because this is one of the best chances they have to really be competitive. And I guess the question is, how aggressive do the Jets want to be? Because, trading for Davante, you give up a first-round pick. You don't have that next year. You're giving Davante a lot of money in 2025, 2026. If your team in the Jets struggles in this 2024 season, then you're in a pretty tough spot without a first-round pick, and you're paying a 32-year-old guy a lot of money. So if things went south, this would be a tough spot for the Jets. But on the other hand, if bringing Davante in makes you a Super Bowl contender, which I already feel like they are, but it would really take you over the top, I think it's a risk that the Jets should take in the situation they're currently in with maybe a couple years of Aaron Rodgers. Most other teams, I don't know if I would take the risk because Davante is, 30, almost 32 years old. If he was 26, I think it's a little different. You could sort of see him playing another 5 to 7 years. But where he is right now, you don't know how much time Davante Adams, has left in the NFL at his current age. But I do think this makes lots of sense. For the Raiders, though, you would think that if they, wanted to trade Davante, they would have already, done it by now. And so maybe they wait and see what they have in this team. And if they get around the trade deadline and things aren't going well, they trade away Davante Adams. But let's say things do go well and they're, a sneaky team and they, are 8-2. I don't think that's going to happen. But maybe in their mind they think, well, maybe we'll be a good team. And in that situation, if you're playing well, then you don't trade Davante. If you're playing poorly, okay, then you trade Davante. Maybe that's what the Raiders could decide to do if they decide to, trade Davante Adams. But I agree here with Dan Orlovsky when it comes to this not being a crazy idea. I wouldn't say that I for sure think it's going to happen, but I think that it honestly makes a lot of sense here. I don't think it's just some crazy story being talked about here. I think that this would really check out and make sense for both sides. A team in QB limbo, I think, who should get some more draft capital, potentially move up for a QB next year. The Jets are in a big, win now situation. So I think it makes perfect sense. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you want more NFL content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.